Hello everyone, welcome back to another Doctor Who Big Finish review. In today's Doctor Who Big Finish review, I'll be taking a look at one of the relaunch releases, which is the first Doctor Adventures, The Outlaws, containing The Outlaws and the Miniaturist. So we've got a 4-parter and a 2-parter, where we see Stephen Noonan take on the role as the first Doctor. Of course, Big Finish are continuing working with David Bradley. It's just Nick Briggs wanted more of an authentic first Doctor. And oh boy, you definitely get a very authentic first Doctor in the form of Stephen Noonan. But of course, I'll talk more about how I think Stephen Noonan's doing in the role later on in the review. And we have Cornelius stepping back into the shoes of Dodo, which she did a release last year. The Secrets of Death's End, which I have done a review of. I'll leave a little tab thing there and a link in the description below to that video. And of course, my other Big Finish review playlist, so you can check out all the other Big Finish content that I've reviewed. So if you're new around here and you like the sound of that, then please do check out all that sort of stuff. And we have Lauren Cornelius stepping back into the shoes as Dodo. She did appear last year in an early adventure called The Secrets of Death's End. I'll leave a little tab thing there and a link in the description below to that review, so you can check out my thoughts on The Secrets of Death's End. And that acts as quite a nice little precursor to this box set. So if you're new around here and you like Big Finish content, then please do consider subscribing, because there's plenty of Big Finish related content on the channel and upcoming in the near future. So without further ado, let's dive into my thoughts on The Outlaws. The start of a new era for the first Doctor begins at Big Finish with Stephen Noonan and Lauren Cornelius at the helm of the TARDIS, piloting us to new adventures across the stars. In this set we have a 4-part historical and a very chunky 2-parter contemporary story in what the 60s thought 2019 could be. Last year we saw Big Finish begin to carve into areas of Doctor Who they hadn't explored on audio, whether that be the beginning of the War Doctor, and in the third Doctor's case having Season 11 and Season 7 explored. But with the first Doctor, we got Stephen and Dodo in The Secrets of Death's End, which acts as a nice little precursor for The Outlaws. Now, you don't need to listen to The Secrets of Death's End to enjoy The Outlaws, but I guess it's a nice little precursor with the themes what are in Secrets of Death's End. But this is very much a standalone box set, The Outlaws. With this set of adventures being set after the Savages, we have the Doctor and Dodo travelling on their own, meaning a wealth of stories to tell. This box set got a lot of promotion from the announcement trailer, the trailer when the set was released, and a lovely behind the scenes video as well. As Big Finish want to push this release, as for some people the recasts aren't for them, but for me I've always been excited and intrigued by it, as it's keeping a Doctor's era alive. So let's find out if The Outlaws kept the Hartnell era alive. The Outlaws, the main story of this set. The best way to describe this story is the Time Meddler meets the Crusade with a dash of Robin Hood thrown in there for good measure, and you have The Outlaws. Now this story is a lot of fun, great bit of comedy and peril. The Doctor and Dodo arrive in 13th century Lincoln. Now we get this rather beautiful scene between our TARDIS crew, and it really shows the grandfatherly nature of Hartnell's Doctor, comforting Dodo about Stephen's departure. And the scene preceding this, we have a light comedic moment about bears, and Stephen Noonan really does capture not only the strong air of authority, but also the magical twinkle in Hartnell's eye, allowing for many playful moments throughout the story, but more on Stephen Noonan later. The duo find their casual stroll in the forest interrupted as they stumble across a dead of Greek merchants, and outlaws are crawling out of the forest to rob them. Thankfully, the local sheriff is there for their protection, and the duo find themselves teaming up with the sheriff to battle these outlaws who are led by the meddling monk, intent on both playing with history and getting revenge on the Doctor. Alongside this, we have the sheriff, a loyal supporter of King John, not only faces the outlaws but the impending French army on their way to take the castle, which creates wonderful tension in the latter end of the story. We get a wonderful shift of threat from these quite fun outlaws led by William of Berkshire to the terror of the French army. The outlaws themselves are a lot of fun because they shouldn't be that successful, but they have inside information on what goods are expected to arrive at the castle. We have Dodo getting whisked off into the sort of way of outlaw life, and because Dodo's somewhat of a blank canvas, it allows Lauren Cornelius to shine, bringing this plucky young Dodo to life. There's this wonderful naivety to her character, especially when getting into an argument about the sheriff, about the king. It's all brilliant stuff. Now the monk is a great addition to this story, excellently played by Rufus Hound, giving us a very sort of Peter Butterworth style monk trying to get King John off the throne. And the glee when he realises that the Doctor is here, there's this great sort of sinister undertone, which is just wonderful, which makes it quite unsettling actually when you listen to it. But the scenes between the Doctor and the monk really do allow Stephen Noonan to shine and excel. From the outbursts, you truly get Hartnell within those scenes, I feel. Stephen Noonan himself gives a very nuanced performance, and I feel Nick Briggs puts it best. It's William Hartnell just played on a different instrument. You can tell how much time and effort has gone into lovingly recreate this performance, from the line fluffs to the moments you think, oh, that's a bit over the top, when he's talking about King Richard and the Battle of 1066. But you remember Hartnell had those moments like that too. The intonation and rhythm is all there. One thing I noticed is how different Stephen Noonan is in The Miniaturist compared to The Outlaws, which shows how versatile William Hartnell was as an actor, and I love that Stephen Noonan really has honoured all aspects of Hartnell's performance. My overall thoughts on The Outlaws is I think that this is a fun start to a set, wonderful chemistry between our TARDIS team, brilliant supporting characters in the form of the monk, the sheriff, William of Berkshire, Sir Hugh, making this story feel incredibly memorable. The story is really nice and simple, a game of cat and mouse. It's a story you can really picture in your head, and the music feels incredibly authentic to the era, mixed out with traditional cliffhangers. You've got a real fun adventure. Now the story may suffer from pacing in parts, but you honestly don't mind it because the world building and the characters, what they inhabit, are what make it an absolute delight to listen to. And I feel that this story just nails the season 3 historical tone superbly. So I'm going to give The Outlaws a well-deserved 8 out of 10. Yes, well done my boy. The Miniaturist. I want to say somewhat experimental, seeing the Doctor and Dodo arrive in a mining facility in 2019 where strange things are going on. People and objects are disappearing with no recollection of what happened to them. And part 1 is about 40 minutes, so it's definitely a story you're getting your money's worth out of. There is no title sequence within part 1, and I don't know if that's a stylistic choice or just because of disc space, but I think that that just adds to the creepy and unsettling nature of the story, as we have Mike Huff seeing a young boy who keeps vanishing, and nothing says creepy like a ghost of a young child. I think having the first Doctor and Dodo in our time feels odd, which I think is a compliment, as this story is going against what you get in The Outlaws, a nice traditional 60s story, making The Miniaturist a nice contrast in the set, or a nice nod to the war machines or any of the world with how the 60s imagine the future. The story itself feels very tortured in nature, but also has sort of a Tom Baker era feel to it as well. It uses the setting and the small cast well to build and maintain a creepy atmosphere, as you have this object discovered in the mine, which really does perk the Doctor's interest. But part 2 really allows Stephen Noonan to shine, facing Annette Badland's Miniaturist, which is a great chilling performance and a wonderful concept and a nice spin on sort of a celestial toy maker type figure. The scenes between Dodo and the Miniaturist are wonderful, as you get sort of a great fantastic sort of emotional range of Dodo, especially with the sort of Miniaturist toying with Dodo, and we get nice little hints of Dodo's family, which is great to have a little bit more expansion on Dodo. So my overall thoughts on the Miniaturist, there's not too much to say as it's a two-parter. It's a chunky one, but I don't really want to spoil it because I had a lot of fun listening to this one. I think The Miniaturist is a fantastic story, rich and with an eerie atmosphere from the start, utilising the cast and the setting and the scientific mystery to great effect. The intense parts of the story are simple enough to remain comprehensive, yet effective, and the story never loses grip of the plot, and it's just this full of imaginative moments. A story what doesn't fit the 60s, but it feels rich all for it, and it's very much utilising the relaunch format and using it to its advantage, and that's why I really admire The Miniaturist. I think The Miniaturist is possibly my favourite out of the two stories within this set. They're both incredible stories, but I think The Miniaturist just pips The Outlaws for me. I think The Miniaturist for me gets an 8.5 out of 10. It's a wonderful story. So let's do my overall thoughts on the actual box set. Well, I loved this set. I think that this was a tremendous start to the first Doctor range on Big Finish, this relaunch. It just has this new energy, and of course season 3 being sort of an untapped area of Doctor Who on Big Finish, it has a whole wealth of stories what can be mined and told, and I think Stephen Noonan and Lauren Cornelius are doing a tremendous job, and I'm very excited to listen to more of their adventures. And I'll be honest, I didn't want this box set to end. I just wanted more First Doctor stories and Dodo, because I just really loved the whole feel of this box set, the lovely coziness of the Outlaws to the more sort of experimental nature of the Miniaturist. I think that this set has quite a lot to offer. As somebody who enjoys the David Bradley audios, what really nail the authentic 60s feel, I think the Outlaws definitely does nail that, and then you have the sort of curveball which is the Miniaturist, much like the TikTok world is in the, I think, the 3rd volume of the David Bradley stuff. But I really do love this sort of slice of authentic 60s Who. It's great. Stephen Noonan, Lauren Cornelius, like I say, doing a tremendous job, and I cannot wait to continue their adventures because I think that this is a real promising start to the range. If you're on the fence about this box set, I definitely do recommend it. I really do recommend it because I think that this is one of the hidden gem releases of the year, and it's definitely going to be in my top 10 this year. I had a lot of fun listening to it. It's a real strong set of stories, brilliant cast, brilliant sound design, all the stuff you expect from Big Finish. I just had a lot of fun listening to it, and it's just a bit of a shame we've got to wait probably a year for the next volume. I really want to know what the next set of First Doctor adventures are because I just really enjoyed these set of stories. So that has been my review of the First Doctor adventures, The Outlaws. So thank you very much for watching this review. If you've enjoyed this video, then please do like and subscribe because it really does help the channel out, and I'll see you next time for more Big Finish related content in the near future. So thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.